So there's this one particular developer that just keeps on complaining about Xbox Series S and how underpowered this console is for this generation. Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So let's talk about Xbox Series S, its power, and Team Kill Media, a developer of a game called Quantum Error. Okay, so this is not the first time this particular developer complained about Xbox Series S. They did that in the past. They actually even complained about Xbox Series X, funny enough. So last time it was all about Xbox Series S and X SSD, because apparently Quantum Error, which is really like a corridor horror kind of game, like Doom-like, really similar in a concept, of course, not necessarily in like quality and stuff, and I'll talk about it in a minute too. So basically that game apparently has got some sort of like big boss fights where there's QTEs and they keep on switching from one location to the other or something like that. And on PlayStation 5 it's seamless, where on Xbox it takes a little bit time to load. And obviously they complained about Xbox Series S and X SSD, that it's actually not fast enough. And PlayStation 5 works better. Now, when they were asked if they actually utilizing direct storage for these consoles, they said, well, not really, we're just actually testing it right now. Well, that kind of really told us, it basically says it all. They haven't really put a lot of effort in optimizing, or not enough of time and effort into optimizing their game for Xbox Series consoles. And really, like, this game has always been PlayStation 5 first game. It actually started as a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and I think like 2 or 3 years into the development of that game, developers did confirm that they will be porting this game to Xbox too, and yeah. Since then, they started just complaining about these consoles. So, but just the fact alone that they are not even using the most basic features of that consoles just basically said that they haven't really put enough of time optimizing for these consoles, right? And now they are back with another complaint, like general complaint, I would say, this time around about Xbox Series S only, because they were asked, I think in one of the Gaming Bolt interviews articles, how Xbox Series S is actually running this game, and they said that Xbox Series X runs this game fine, but Xbox Series S struggles in terms of frame rate and resolution and that kind of stuff. And they even said that they are not 100% sure if this game will actually come out for Xbox, because if they won't make that game work well on Xbox Series S, then they won't just release it, right? And they also did say that even if they make Xbox Series S work, it will be 30 frames per second, right? I mean, version for Xbox Series S works, it just doesn't perform well. That's the problem, right? So, and listen, I'm not a developer, of course, and because I know that some people will call me out for that. Oh, how can you talk about development of games when you are not actually a developer? I guess, you don't necessarily have to be a developer to understand a few things. And if you actually look at some of the games that actually did release for Xbox Series S, and they run not only at 1080p and 60 frames per second, but they are all big open world games, like Assassin's Creed, for example, and they'd work just fine. Or like, dozen of other big games like Dying Light and stuff. And even though developers did complain, here and there, like Dying Light developer did complain about this game, but then they delivered, and it actually works pretty well. I think it even has like 60 frames per second option now, performance mode. So, if developers put enough of time and effort into optimizing, they can deliver. But I don't know what's the problem with this particular developer is, whether maybe they don't have enough of technical know-how, maybe they don't have budget, I don't know, right? But it's funny to me that they just keep on complaining about it, and like they are halfway through porting of that game and they haven't really done all the work and they just keep on complaining. And I understand if they were to say, okay, so we are working on that port and we haven't finished the work yet and we'll see how that goes, right? Understandable, right? But it looks like, especially with that whole SSD thing on Twitter, they were really kind of praising PlayStation 5 version and basically complaining big time about Xbox Series S and X SSD and how, not fast enough this console is and whatever, right? It's just, a lot of people pointed out that, it did look like a, dark PR or bad PR maybe, because you are really kind of alienating the other customer base. I understand that they focused mainly on PlayStation 5 version, and that's fine, but all that complaining does nothing really to your game, and especially it's actually funny. I understand if that game were some super duper kind of next gen kind of game, but that game is, well, graphics wise is nothing really special, to be honest with you. It looks like pretty much last gen. Even for last gen standards, it's nothing really special, right? So, I understand. I don't really understand, what's going on there. I'm not sure what, and I think they are working with Unreal. So Unreal may be a bit tricky sometimes to use. There were some rumors that this may be Unreal Engine 5 game, but I don't think it is. It doesn't even look like an Unreal Engine 5 game, to be honest with you. So listen, at the end of the day, there's been so many other games and developers that, delivered goods for Xbox Series S, and, I understand that there must be some compromises when it comes to Xbox Series S versions of games. It is what it is. It's a cheap, low specs console, and it doesn't really have to. It hasn't been built to deliver 4K and all the bells and whistles. Really, it's just there to play games at whatever resolution, 1080p, 720p, upscale to 1080p at 30 or 60 frames per second, right? So. I don't know, listen guys, maybe that particular developer just actually too much work on them. Maybe they thought that it's going to be an easy port. Maybe they should actually pay somebody else to port it, who's got actually more experience with Xbox and stuff, because that's what it all comes down to. It's not necessarily a developer being bad or lazy or whatever. It's just if you don't have an expertise in certain things, you're not really going to do a good job. They focused a lot on PlayStation 5 development, of course, and looks like it's actually going pretty well for them. So I don't know if it's actually too difficult for them to actually optimize for Xbox Series S and X consoles. Maybe they should actually allow somebody else to do it, pay somebody to actually make a port of that game once it releases for PlayStation 5 and they've got some extra funding. I don't know. There's different ways to actually deliver things. Just same with the Nintendo games. Sometimes, there's certain developers that made a number of ports for Nintendo Switch games, and they know that console well, and they know how to optimize for that console, right? And so maybe they should do the same, and maybe they should just basically allow somebody else to do it, right? Or I don't know, maybe don't bother at all. Who knows? Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be too critical of their game. I haven't really played it. Maybe it's going to be a great game, who knows, but it just doesn't really look that impressive anyway. So we'll see how that goes. Guys, so all that complaining about Xbox Series S, I get it. it's not a console for everyone. It actually it requires more work to make games and that kind of stuff. But hey, if you are making games for Xbox, like, this is what you have to actually work with. And you know, like, you can scream, shout, complain all you want, but it is what it is. And hey, Microsoft is not really going to change that, right? Like, this is this generation kind of setup for Xbox, and you know, that's what developers have to work with. Like, and you know, and and most developers like deliver. Like, yeah, they may complain, but yet still they deliver, right? Like, guys, like Diablo runs great on Xbox Series S. Starfield actually, you know, performs and looks pretty good on Xbox Series S too. 1080p, yes, 30, just like on Xbox Series S. But generally speaking, it's a, you know, well polished game too. So I don't know. It's just kind of annoying, you know, sometimes when you like, you know, just do your job, guys. That's what I'll say. Anyway, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.